This is things I wish I could say in Sunday school. I want to share some thoughts and ideas that are different than what we usually hear. My goal is to be really honest rather than inherently faith-promoting. I hope these ideas may spark some interesting discussions with your friends, families, or classes. Please enjoy. This is the lesson for April 15th through 21st. Enos through Words of Mormon. Today's topics are parental influence, Enos-like spiritual experiences, and connection between righteousness and prosperity. The manual highlights that the lessons Jacob taught his son Enos is what brought Enos this dramatic spiritual turnaround. I'm going to read verse 3. Behold, I went to hunt beasts in the forests, and the words which I often heard my father speak concerning eternal life and the joy of the saints sunk deep into my heart. It's clear that the manual wants the takeaway to be to hold on to hope that your adult children will eventually choose to follow what you taught them. There's always a chance, I guess, but I hate this message. Conditional love is at the heart. It also fails to acknowledge the full agency of adult children and people of all ages. I'm going to critique this kind of conditional love and then this view on agency. I'll close this section by talking about the profound influence that parents can have with their children. The harmful message in this kind of thinking is keep on trying to love your kids that disappoint you because eventually they may please you. Kids naturally want to please their parents because there's safety in that. So if they are choosing something else, then they usually have good reasons to. It may be a rejection of the parent entirely because of some trauma that the child suffered, or the parent could just be harmful to have in their lives because the parent is a narcissist or emotionally immature or something like that. Or maybe the life that the parent wanted for them just isn't what they want for themselves. No matter the reason, if a child is rejecting something, good and loving parents should view it as a call to curiosity and introspection, to understand and grow. But that's not the message of this lesson. The message in the lesson is that the parents are right, and the children will come to see that the parents are right someday. In reality, that's rarely the case. Proverbs 22:6 says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." This is often repeated or similar sentiments in quotes from prophets. I just don't believe it's true. Ideally, children will take the good things they learn from their parents that actually work for them, reject the bad and all the stuff that doesn't work for them, learn more good from other people, situations, and relationships, and forge their own better path than the one their parents had. We should be aiming for unconditional love for our kids, where we love them whatever way they come. Their choices to follow or not follow the life lessons we taught them are theirs to make. Parents need to respect their children. Which brings me to agency. Our children get to make their own choices with their life. I personally believe that it's by design of our heavenly parents. Our role as parents is to raise up good adults who can navigate the world well independently of us as parents. As something almost all of us take very seriously, and as such, sometimes we can overstep. Behind this idea that eventually wayward adult children will come back around is the false idea that parents have some control over what their adult children choose. Many set up systems to make their adult children dependent, usually on money, so that parents can continue to exercise control over them. And while it's true that our prefrontal cortex is still developing until our late 20s, and that many mistakes are made by young adults, I don't think trying to control adult children is good parenting. It's manipulative, and they know it. We can hope our kids will make good choices as we understand them. But if we hold our children to the expectation that they fulfill our hopes, that's not really fair to our children, or to us as parents, because it smothers the potential of a mature relationship with our children. If we truly believe in agency, then we will be raising our kids with the goal in mind that they become good adults who can navigate the world well independently. I want to close this section by acknowledging the profound influence that parents do have on their children. I feel like my kids learn so much from us, even some of my less desirable traits. I intentionally try to teach them a lot. They also learn so much from us simply by being around us a lot. My wife and I are the biggest influence on who our children will choose to be as adults. They still are who they are and have the agency to make their own choices with their life. If my kids reject a lot of what I offer them and teach them, I'm sure I will feel disappointed. But I hope I view that as an opportunity to grow up more and increase in my capacity to love them. Now on to Enos' experience. When I was at BYU in my Book of Mormon class my first semester, my teacher felt the need to tell the class that it's best not to try to emulate Enos, where he goes from being a sinner to being redeemed by praying for a day and night, and his life is perfect after that, and his parents are finally happy with him posthumously. Apparently, it was a pretty regular occurrence there that a student would disappear for a couple of days trying to be like Enos, go off into the mountains alone to spend hours or days in prayer in order to receive a remission of their sins. Their roommates would freak out because of the disappearance. It was a problem. I think it was mostly men. This kind of one-time feat for God appeals to more masculine energy than feminine. It's almost like a rite of passage in mythology, and we also see some in Native American culture. Because we hold Enos up as a great example at church, we shouldn't be surprised when young people foolishly try to copy him. Real change doesn't happen from one dramatic experience. That can be a turning point if you choose it to be. But real change is incremental from consistently choosing who you want to be. Lastly, I want to talk about the connection between righteousness and prosperity. The manual brings this up. These chapters mention a few times that the righteous are saved from destruction. It also mentions economic prosperity in Jerem verse 8. The manual does want us to think about prosperity beyond just wealth, which is good. I don't believe that there is a real connection between righteousness and economic prosperity. I absolutely see a connection between corruption and economic prosperity. Many men have made fortunes from taking advantage of others and the environment to enrich themselves. The church wants us to believe that committing ourselves to the church will result in economic prosperity without explicitly saying it. So the church implies it, like in this lesson. It makes the church much more appealing from a missionary perspective. It also makes it easier for members to pay tithing or give up 2 years to go on missions if people believe that prosperity will be a reward. The church promotes this false connection between being a member in good standing and wealth. The church includes talking points like this in lessons very frequently. The church promotes wealthier men to prominent visible positions like bishop and stake presidencies, mission and temple presidents, etc. So if we are committed like they seem to be, then we can be wealthy too. Blessings are always dangled as a reward for commitment to the institution. I understand why the church does this, but I don't like it. There's a dishonesty in it, and it's a bait and switch. And I just want to highlight it in this lesson so we can see it for what it is. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening. Please share with family and friends. Until next time.